Olivia, let's start with Dominic Raab, because there's been this independent KC investigation carried out by Adam Tory KC going on now for the best part of 4 months. And yet, all of the leaks that we've seen about this, all of the sort of tidbits that have popped up in the papers, there's a peculiar anecdote about tomatoes in a sandwich, but also a lot of Dominic Raab simply saying, you've got to do this work better, this work isn't good enough, please do this work again. That seemed to be the smoking gun in the papers over the weekend.
Well, yes, I think there are plenty of people in the private sector who will have read that report in the Sunday Times yesterday about Dominic Raab's behaviour and thought that the sort of actions which Dominic Raab had committed, if we can call it committed, are just normal for a demanding boss. That's what it seemed. There's a big investigative piece, and what it came down to was some slightly sort of idiosyncratic things from Dominic Raab. For example, he only works in analogue, so everything has to be on paper, and so he'll go into a meeting, doesn't have the piece of paper that he wants, and asks a junior civil servant to get the piece of paper rather than having it up, makes everyone wait while the civil servant goes and gets it. I mean, slightly strange behaviour, perhaps, for those used to working in a digital environment, but few in the private sector would say that goes as far as bullying. That said, I mean, there are apparently 24 complaints which are being investigated by Adam Tory, so perhaps more will come to light. But as you say, as things stand, it seems to be a question of Dominic Raab asking for things to be done to a high level, throwing things back when they're not good enough and asking them to be redone. Demanding perhaps, but bullying?
I suppose we can't prejudge the inquiry, though there is the potential that the big smoking gun, the real sort of hard evidence of bullying, just hasn't leaked its way into the press now. It would be surprising given how leaky government normally is and how much detail we have in all these other areas. One surprising thing in that Sunday Times article was that he called junior ministers JMs. This is supposed to be some sort of bullying allegation. Yes,
it seems clear that Dominic Raab has rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way, and it's going to be quite difficult for Adam Tory to determine whether these amount to accusations of bullying, because, of course, one person's bullying might be another's demanding, exacting behaviour. But as you say, unless there is more evidence to come to light, and there well might be, because apparently there are up to 30 claims that are being investigated, worth just saying that again, unless there is some more evidence in those 30 claims, it doesn't look like it's going to be amount to much. But that doesn't really stop it eating away at Rishi Sunak's political credibility.
I suppose, though, it does give him a bit of credence in terms of saying, look, there's a process to go through. Some of these claims might be entirely bogus, some of them might be very substantive, but ultimately this has got to be gone through with a fine-tooth comb, because so much of this stuff is so subjective.
Yes, definitely, and that was the line that Rishi Sunak used when the Nadhim Zahawi investigation was taking place. There were those who said that a more experienced Prime Minister, someone with a little bit more political nous, would have seen that Nadhim Zahawi was becoming the story early on and just got rid of him immediately, bit the bullet quickly. But Rishi Sunak stuck to this line that sticking to due process is important. He doesn't want to hang his friends out to dry. He's talked about sort of loyalty and integrity, and he would argue that he's following that process well. And as you say, if it transpires that these Dominic Raab allegations come to nothing much at all, that will lend him more political credence for previous judgments that he's made, for instance, over the Zahawi affair.